You're watching Wavy TV 10. Now, Les Smith, Alvita Ewell, Bruce Slater, and Don Slater. Live from the station on your side, this is Wavy News 10 at 6.
Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with a story about tough choices and family tragedy.
A story about a fatal fire that's now taken the lives of two people, a father and son. Doug Aronson reports from West Point.
He has always said that there wasn't any member of his family that he wouldn't be willing to die for.
And last night, 27-year-old Bobby Cottrell did just that. His family decided to take him off life support. He would never recover from the injuries he suffered in a fire 3 nights ago.
And we discussed with Mom and Pop. We all decided just when his heart stops, let him go.
Investigators still don't know what caused the fire here Monday night, but there is little doubt Bobby Cottrell did all he could to save his boys, going in and out of a burning home at least 4 times to rescue his oldest. The oldest, Tommy, at age 8, was his stepson. He died in the fire. Bobby Cottrell saved his youngest, Robbie, age 4, and Chris, age 2. Neither know they'll never see again the father who saved their lives.
He's going to get very sad because he loves his daddy. And I don't know how I'm going to tell him that.
West Point, Virginia is small enough where most folks know each other, where the volunteer firefighters often know their victims.
He was the type of guy that if you asked him, he'd give you the shirt off his back. And when I'd heard that he'd gone in the fire to try to save his stepson, it didn't surprise me at all.
Bobby Cottrell suffered burns over 75% of his body. He died last night at Centera Norfolk General. Back to you.
Doug, you mentioned no known cause for the fire yet, but the family told you they learned some lessons. What were they?
Most importantly, that it is important to have a planned fire escape route from your house and really to share that information with everybody in the house, no matter how young or old.
Such a tragic story. Thank you. Doug Aronson reporting tonight. This story just into the Wavy newsroom. Chesapeake Mayor William Ward says he does not support a special grand jury investigating the police department.
While a final decision to call one has not yet been made, Andy Fox reports tonight the mayor says it is unnecessary. Andy.
Yeah, guys, Mayor Ward sent us this letter saying the state police, FBI, and special prosecutor found no basis for pursuing the matter. The mayor does not mention state police refused to investigate because the city's request was vague. He also writes Chief Ian Shipley's internal investigation and the report on it to council were thorough. But sources tell us the internal investigation and report to council raised many questions. And it should be noted to date there has been no independent investigation on why it took more than a year to arrest the son of a city councilman, the son of a sheriff's deputy, and the son of Shipley's administrative assistant in connection with 2 burglaries in the city. All of this is, of course, occurring at a time during an election season, and many critics argue that City Council can only get this behind it when an independent probe on this matter is conducted. The only way to answer all the unanswered questions is an independent probe. Apparently tonight, the mayor just simply disagrees with that. We'll keep you updated on this story.
All right, thank you, Andy.
Okay.
In other news tonight, a mother claims she had no other option and takes her young daughter out of town. This after allegations of sexual abuse at the hands of her father. Now Kathy Smigelski stands facing kidnapping charges. Ava Hurdle has been following this trial. She joins us now live with the latest. Ava.
Kathy Smigelski faces parental abduction charge, 1 count as a matter of fact, because her husband had custody of the child. She testifies she ran away to California after learning from her daughter of alleged sexual abuse. But a psychiatrist and a detective testified they found no evidence to prove John Smigelski molested his child. Testimony in the case has ended, and it's now headed for the jury.
I'm sorry, I can't give any interviews right now until tomorrow morning after the jury's deliberated.
And her child was spared today from testifying.
Oh, I thank God for that. I really do. I think that was wonderful.
Now, jury instructions and closing arguments are expected on Friday morning. If convicted of parental abduction, Smigelski faces up to 5 years in prison. Back now to you.
All right, thank you, Ava. Ava Hurdle reporting live tonight from Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach's chief prosecutor says Tim Jackson's refusal to step down as a school board member makes it tougher for the city to heal.
Bob Humphrey says Jackson should follow the special grand jury's recommendation. He and other board members stepped down after the school's $12 million budget deficit.
The other board members who have honored the grand jury's recommendation, because I think it helps to bring closure to this situation. We've had a festering sore in Virginia Beach now for some 6 months, and now we're, I guess, engaged in what amounts to major surgery, and the sooner we get that over with, the sooner the patient can recover.
And you can see more of Humphrey's statements on Sunday's Newsbreakers at 6 a.m.
Abortion opponents are on the verge of a major victory in the General Assembly. The Senate passed a bill requiring doctors to tell parents before they perform an abortion on an unmarried girl under age 18. The House, which passed a parental notification bill earlier, will now consider the Senate version. Governor Allen supports it. Carpal tunnel syndrome and hearing loss may soon be covered by workers' compensation. The House of Delegates approved the bill today with little debate. The measure now heads to the Senate. Opponents of the bill argued it will drive up costs for employers.
A new lease on life for a squadron of Navy attack planes based right here in Virginia Beach. The squadron, known as VA-34, is currently at sea on the carrier George Washington. It flies the A-6 Intruder attack plane. The Navy had planned to disband the unit, but now it'll be sent to Florida to retrain in the newer FA-18 Hornet attack plane. And 3 recent F-14 crashes like this one in Nashville, Tennessee has caused a change in the budget. The Defense Department says it will provide more money in its current budget to pay for emergency repairs on Navy F-14 fighters. New flight control systems will be installed to keep pilots from pushing the jet beyond its design limits.
The Army and the NAACP are meeting this week to discuss racism at Fort Bragg. The meeting was set up in the wake of an NAACP report concluding there are serious racial problems on all of North Carolina's military bases. As we first reported yesterday, a squadron of planes from Langley Air Force Base will head to Jordan next month.
Well, they are part of a larger group that'll enforce Operation Southern Watch. It is the first time U.S. warplanes have been involved in patrols over Iraq, which have been launched for Jordan. Our Cy Bolton has been out following the story. He joins us now live with more. Cy, that looks, of course, like an aircraft carrier you're standing in front of.
Well, it is. Carriers play a key role here. They're used primarily for their air power, and defense sources say they're not enough to go around. Now, when one carrier leaves its station before its replacement arrives, it creates a gap. Well, that's exactly what's happened in the Persian Gulf, and it's exactly why Langley's 94th Fighter Squadron and others are headed for Jordan. In a little more than a month, 12 F-15s and 500 airmen from Langley's 1st Fighter Wing will head for Jordan to enforce the no-fly zone over southern Iraq. Coincidentally, the wing is now engaged in a week-long exercise that tests combat readiness.
Well, we try and mirror these exercises into sort of a worst-case scenario for real world.
That means tents for the wounded, sandbags, quick turnarounds for the planes and crews, all the things they might find in the desert. The training includes an enemy made up of other Air Force jets and some Navy FA-18s, which hit the air wing with a simulated chemical attack.
They dress out in chem gear and they respond to every threat, mostly Scud attacks and sometimes airfield attacks from enemy airplanes.
The goal here is to cut waste in time, personnel, and resources.
What we focus on during the exercises is improving the details and the margins.
The Air Force is dispatching its jets to Jordan in mid-April because that's when the Navy is pulling the aircraft carrier Nimitz and its air wing out of the Persian Gulf. And it'll be 2 months before its replacement, the Carl Vinson, arrives on station. This gap between them is caused by not having enough carriers. The Joint Chiefs have decided they want an aircraft carrier in 3 areas: the Mediterranean, the Western Pacific, and the Persian Gulf. Money constraints have limited the Navy to 12 carriers, and they're either working up to deployment, on deployment, returning from deployment, on stand-down, or in the yards for short or long-term maintenance. Sources say it would take 15 carriers to constantly monitor the 3 hotspots, and without the extra 3, the gaps will continue. Now, the Navy recently commissioned the carrier Stennis, but that doesn't help out because they'll soon be decommissioning the America. It's an even trade-off with the other new carriers proposed, the Truman and the Reagan. The Navy simply doesn't have enough money to support the air and surface assets a carrier requires. Now, the alternative, sending Air Force planes over to Jordan, This points out and emphasizes the need for diplomacy and maintaining allies in tender spots like the Middle East. I'm Cy Bolton reporting live from the Norfolk Naval Base. Now back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Cy. Well, still ahead, the miracle of birth.
It's especially true for this woman. We'll explain when we come back.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, for a Virginia Beach woman, life begins at 50. New life, that is.
Christine Tanana gave birth to a 4.5-pound baby girl this week. She told our Christy Carlo the stork was way overdue on this visit.
I had a lot of doctors tell me to get hysterectomies and all of this, and I wanted a child.
Christine Tanana got her wish. After 19 years of trying, she gave birth to little Alexandra 2 days after her 50th birthday.
For women who can just have babies, it's very different, but for women who can't, they don't realize the pain you go through. And I'm just so grateful. So whatever happens tomorrow, I mean, you can never take this happiness away from me.
It's really been an exciting event for us. We've had a number of 48 and 49-year-olds, but this is our first 50-year-old, so we're quite excited.
The egg of a younger woman was fertilized, then placed inside Christine's uterus.
Of course, allows the older woman then to go on and be pregnant and to nurse and have all the other experiences that younger mothers would have.
The birth wasn't easy. The umbilical cord was near the baby's head and the doctor called for a C-section. But Christine says when she woke up and saw what was waiting for her, it was all worth it.
I hope I'm not too strict. Just let her be who she is, you know? I really try to do that.
Christine's doctor says this case should give women who want to give birth later in life encouragement.
Go for it. That nobody's getting any younger, and I encourage them all to do it.
With enough faith and a lot of effort on your part, it can happen, it can come true.
For this little mother, it did. In Virginia Beach, Christy Carlo, Wavy News 10.
Wow. Well, both the egg and sperm were donated.
And Dr. Warsoff says before a woman is eligible for the donor egg procedure, she must undergo cardiovascular and stress tests. What a great story.
Oh, wonderful story.
Well, let's see. The weekend's almost here, so wonder what bad news that brings.
We already know it's already brought the rain, so how long is this going to stay, Don?
Also brought me, too.
That's right.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, we are looking at some very, very much different weather. We'll tell you about it in just a minute.
Welcome back, and welcome back to Don Slater.
Thank you.
I would like to say goodbye to the rain, though.
I think we can do that.
That's the good news.
Yeah, but
I'm afraid to ask.
let's go right to it. As far as the rain, enough already. We've had enough. However, we are going to be staring down the face of winter again here very, very shortly, as if we aren't already. Temperatures have already dropped considerably by about 20 degrees from what they were earlier today. We're going to continue to see a drop as really, really winter takes hold over the next really 24 to 36 hours. Showing you what's going on. Good, strong cold front has slid through southeastern Virginia, but not so much into northeastern North Carolina. It's still in the 60s across the Outer Banks and toward the Elizabeth City area, but elsewhere, again, temperatures have cooled off nicely, very well, not so nicely, by about 20 degrees. And again, the bulk of the heavy rain, the thunderstorms have ended. We did have a tornado watch in effect for eastern North Carolina for earlier, but again, that never panned out at all. We never saw any severe weather. You can see some of the rain moving through much of the Hampton Roads area and eastern North Carolina. Some moderate rain at times, some moderate snow at times across especially upstate New York. New York City is getting kind of a mixture of rain and snow right now, but further upstate into New York and New England, they're getting between 4 and 6 inches of new snow and some fairly heavy lake effect snow showers going on across Ohio, and also you can see them across Michigan as well. Also, one other thing that we're really going to get out of this is wind. This has actually slipped southeastward through much of the area right now. Elizabeth City, you're going to see it slip on through your area as well shortly. And on the back side of it, a rather brisk northerly wind as this low coalesces off of the coastline. We'll see it strengthen a bit, and that'll kick in with a little bit stronger northerly wind, north to northwesterly wind for tomorrow. Here's how things will be moving between now and Saturday morning. Once again, once that cold front has moved on through the area, again, our skies, rain will and overnight tonight. Skies will begin to clear for tomorrow. And again, we're going to see some of the coldest weather that we've seen in quite some time. We've had a brief reprieve from the winter time, but again, it looks like we're going to be back in the deep freeze. In fact, we could see record cold conditions. Somehow we didn't get all the colors on here. 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, and 40s throughout our area. But suffice it to say that there's a big block of single-digit weather out there right now. Here's a look at earlier today and a look at our current conditions right now through the area. We have cloudy skies with light rain, and we are looking for, again, throughout the area, light rain. Norfolk 42, Newport News reporting in with 43 degrees. The lows are current rating 42. High today 64 degrees. Dew point is at 42. It's humid 100%. Northerly winds 13 to 22, and the barometer is rising. Okay, temperatures across the region look like this. Upper 30s and low 40s, low to mid 40s, but then about a 20-degree rise in temperatures. Again, that front is right about through this area. For the forecast for tonight, rain should be ending. Overnight low temperatures 32 inland, 35 along the coast. Northerly winds at about 10 to 20 miles an hour overnight tonight. For tomorrow, sunshine and cloudiness. Clouds mainly the first part of the day, 35 to 40 for a high, probably in the upper end of the scale, especially in the south side, but strong northerly winds tomorrow. Now tomorrow night, 18 inland, 22 along the coast. The record low for Norfolk is at 24. So again, we're going to come real close to a record low. And then Saturday, mostly sunny, 35 to 38 degrees. And again, northwesterly winds at 10 to 15. So read it and weep. Here we are. Temperatures about 30 degrees cooler than they were today. Okay, our weather school question of the day looks like this. On the average, most costly event for our nation is flooding. Imagine, what, 3 years ago when we had record flooding across the Mississippi Valley.
Thanks a lot. Coming up next in sports, the Lady Monarchs host the Colonial Athletic Conference. Find out how they did today.
And tournament action in college basketball heats up. Stay tuned. Sports is next.
Well, March Madness is definitely in full swing, and we're not talking about the weather.
No, we're talking about basketball. And for the Virginia Tech Hokies, the madness starts tonight in Philadelphia. Tech will tip off at 7 against Rhode Island in the quarterfinals of the Atlantic 10 tournament tonight. A win would set up another meeting with Temple, who beat Xavier in an earlier game today. And Temple handled the Hokies pretty easily a couple of weeks ago. And lurking over in the A-10's other bracket, the University of Massachusetts, this afternoon, the second-ranked Minutemen took the court against St. Bonaventure in the quarterfinals of the A-10 tournament. They played it at the Civic Center in the city of brotherly love. Pick up the highlights from this one. Coach John Calipari watching his team, and Carmelo Travieso sink the jumper. UMass are never really a problem with this one as they roll on into the semifinals this afternoon. Now, more college hoops for you. The Big East is holding their annual get-together at Madison Square Garden. They held quarterfinal games there this afternoon. Let's start you off with Connecticut facing Seton Hall today. Coach Jim Calhoun watched his Huskies come out running. Ray Allen up ahead to Doran Sheffer, back to Allen for 2 plus the foul. UConn led it 39-24 at the half. Now more Huskies. They push the tempo again. Sheffer to Travis Knight underneath for the jam. UConn a winner over Seton Hall today, 79-58. Now let's move on to Boston College and Syracuse, also at the Garden. Danye Abrams, a game-high 31 points today. That bucket tied the game at 45 in the second half. Antonio Granger would give BC the lead with that jumper. They led by 3, 51-48, but in the end, too much John Wallace for Syracuse. He led the Orange Wind with 25 points. He gets the rebound and the foul there. Syracuse, a winner over Boston College, 69-61. Now in Greensboro, North Carolina, the ACC tournament tips off tonight with a play-in game between Florida State and North Carolina State. And then tomorrow, right here on TV 10, we'll have all the action, starting with Duke against Maryland at noon, followed by top seed Georgia Tech against the winner of the play-in game. At 7, we move on to Wake Forest and Virginia, and the last game of the evening features North Carolina against Clemson in their ongoing love affair. Bruce Rader will be live from the ACC tournament starting tomorrow on Wavy News 10 at 5. On the women's side of the court, you've got a feel for the other teams besides ODU and the CAA. The Lady Monarchs ran through the conference regular season without a loss, and now the other squads have to come to the field house to take their tournament beatings on ODU's home floor. First in line, Richmond. Lady Monarchs opened up with an 18-0 run and put this one away early. CAA Player of the Year Tisha Penicharo dishes to Shonda DeBerry there for one of her 11 assists. Then Penicharo takes this one herself with a strong move to the hole. She also had 10 points. And Clarice Mashingwana added a game-high 28 for the Lady Monarchs. They win it today 92-61 to move to the semis against American. The Lady Eagles beat VCU today to advance. That game will start tomorrow at 5:30. The Detroit Red Wings' Chris Osgood became the third goalie in NHL history to score a goal in a game last night. Happened last night. I have to show you this one. It's a history-making event. It took place with just 11 seconds left in the game. Osgood gets the puck and fires it into the empty net, the length of the ice. Hartford had an extra skater on the ice to try to overcome a 4-2 deficit. Chris Osgood joins Philadelphia's Ron Hextall and Billy Smith, who played with the Islanders, as the only goalies to score a goal. But you know, Corwin Sordiff did it for the Admirals.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, last season.
Thanks, Dan.
See you later.
Thank you.
Still ahead on Wavy News 10 at 6, the clouds are out in Virginia Beach today.
But they weren't the highlight of the day. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everyone. And finally today, some kids from Rosemont Elementary School got a special treat.
And they showed their thanks with songs of praise. These special education kids enjoyed their field trip to the Italian oven. Not only did the students get to observe how pizza is made, but they also got to make their own.
But probably the best part of the day, getting to eat what they made.
Let's go on a field trip with them anytime.
Looks like an awful lot of fun.
That wraps things up for Wavy News 10 at 6.
Thank you for watching. See you back at 11.
Good night.
Good night.